It was supposed to be a normal dinner, a casual evening at a quiet Italian restaurant. My wife, Sarah, had suggested it as a way to celebrate something she called us time. I agreed, thinking it would be nice, just the two of us. But then, out of nowhere, she suggested we invite someone else. Let's invite Jake, she said, referring to her ex-boyfriend. I froze. My mind scrambled. Jake, her ex, the man she had dated for years before we met. I didn't want to go. I wanted to tell her no, but I forced a smile. Sure, why not? I said, trying to sound casual. Deep down, I already felt a pit of unease forming in my stomach. When we arrived, Jake was already there, leaning casually against the table. He greeted Sarah with a smile that made my chest tighten, and when he shook my hand, there was an ease in him, too much ease. He acted like this was familiar territory, and in some ways, it clearly was. The first 30 minutes passed without incident. We ordered, made small talk, laughed politely. But then I noticed little things, Sarah checking her phone constantly, whispering to him about details she didn't tell me, leaning closer than necessary. I told myself I was imagining it, that it was just awkward nostalgia, but the unease only grew. Then came the line. Jake leaned back, smirked, and said, "You know, Sarah was always mine before anyone else came along. You'll never be like me to her." Time froze. I blinked, unsure if I had heard correctly. The words landed with the weight of a hammer. My stomach dropped, my hands went cold, and my heart felt like it had shattered in a single instant. Sarah laughed nervously, but not in denial, not in surprise, in complicity. That laugh, it was the sound of a shared secret, and it hit me harder than any punch could. For a moment, I questioned myself. Was I overreacting? Was it just a joke, some weird comment? But the look she gave him, a glance filled with something unspoken, told me otherwise. Something had crossed the line, and I had just been handed the proof. The rest of the dinner was a blur. I tried to keep the conversation going, to act normal, but my mind was spinning. Every word Jake said, every laugh Sarah gave him, every touch that lingered too long, now felt like a betrayal. I wanted to leave, to walk out and never come back, but I stayed, numb and broken, watching the woman I loved act like she belonged somewhere else. Later, back at home, I couldn't sleep. My thoughts circled relentlessly. I replayed the evening in agonizing detail. The way she had tilted her head to hear him better, the subtle brush of hands, the text she had sneakily checked mid-meal. I questioned myself first. Was I too controlling? Paranoid? But deep down, I knew that instinctual feeling of dread wasn't paranoia. It was truth knocking loudly at my heart. Over the next few days, I noticed more signs. Calls she ignored, vague excuses for where she had been, texts she quickly deleted when I looked over her shoulder. Little moments that had once seemed innocent now carried a sting. The trust one had taken for granted was eroding right in front of me. Finally, I confronted her. My voice trembled, but I spoke, demanding honesty. "Sarah, what happened with Jake? Was last night just dinner, or is there something more?" She froze. Then came the confession, not dramatic, not cinematic. Just truth spilling out slowly, painfully. She admitted to emotional flirting, moments of closeness she had justified as harmless, but which I could no longer ignore. She didn't want to hurt me, she said. She hadn't thought I'd notice, but she had. I had noticed everything, and it broke me in ways I didn't think were possible. I felt anger, heartbreak, betrayal, all mixed together in a storm I couldn't escape. And yet, beneath it all, there was clarity. Love alone couldn't erase deceit. Trust, once broken, doesn't just heal overnight. And sometimes protecting your dignity means making impossible choices. I realized that staying, pretending nothing happened, would be poisoning myself slowly. I couldn't rebuild our relationship on a foundation of lies, and I couldn't let my life be defined by someone else's choices. It was heartbreaking, yes, but it was also liberating. I could choose my own path, one rooted in honesty and self-respect. Leaving that night wasn't dramatic. There were no doors slammed, no shouting matches, just quiet, heavy silence. I packed a bag, took one last look at the home we shared, and stepped out into the night. Each step felt like both an ending and a beginning. The pain didn't vanish. It lingered like a shadow over my thoughts, reminding me of what was lost. Memories I had cherished now carried a bittersweet ache. The little jokes, the late night talks, the laughter that once felt endless. But in the midst of heartbreak, I found strength. Strength to acknowledge betrayal, to honor my feelings, and to begin rebuilding a life that belonged fully to me. Looking back, I understand now that love is more than passion or shared history. It is trust, respect, and honesty. When those are gone, there's no shame in walking away, no dishonor in choosing yourself over illusions. If you've ever experienced betrayal or felt the crushing weight of a secret you weren't supposed to know, share your story in the comments. I read every one. And remember, sometimes the hardest choices are the ones that save your heart.